Hello and welcome to the Week 17 Power Hour podcast. I am Scott Barrett, joined by John Proctor. Johnny, what's going on?
Tilting NBA, man. You know what else is there to do leading up to Week 17?
Yeah, don't talk to me about NBA ever, please. Unfortunately, we were not around last week. My father passed away. Some of you know this. Don't really want to talk about that. But I do want to talk about Week 16 and how Johnny and I would have crushed it had we did podcast. Johnny, you made a considerable amount of money, correct?
Just went all in on Bortles, man.
and nope. Rodgers and Jordy.
Yeah, nobody played Bortles, nobody played Jordy, nobody played Rodgers. It was a really dumb week. But now everyone wants to play Rodgers and Jordy, so it'll be interesting.
And we didn't even disagree on guys last week. It would have been magical.
Yeah, I just made 20. It was so easy because last week you could lock in Bortles, you could lock in Marquise Lee, lock in Allen Robinson, and then just tell optimizers to fill in the rest. And then just give you lineups, and then you just enter them and everything. That's what I would have told everyone to do, but we weren't here to do that.
And if I were here, I would have recommended my boy Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen smashed. Thielen is the only reason that I didn't win a bunch of GPPs. So I had a lot of lineups that were in the top 5, where the only people ahead of me, the reason they were ahead of me is because they had Adam Thielen. So that stinks. But I'm not going to play a guy like Adam Thielen in Week 16 when I'm not running 50 lineups. But
you're also not me, so I get
it is what it is.
All right, you want to talk a little bit about Week 17 as a whole and how it's a big drastic kind of change from what we've seen in other weeks.
Yeah, so Week 17 is a lot of people want to say Week 17 is like the preseason, or Week 17 is like NBA or something. And really, though, Week 17 is kind of just its own individual DFS world. You aren't just looking at news. So a lot of people want to look at Week 17 just I hear this guy is going to get more runs, so I'm going to play him. You need to look more at what teams are motivated for, whether guys are going on IR. The last thing you want to do is play a value running back and find out none of his offensive linemen are going to be out there. So there's a lot to look at, and a lot you're not going to know until Sunday morning when teams announce who they're having inactive. It's fun though. Yeah, I mean you really you can't make lineups Saturday night and then not check them Sunday morning.
Yeah, well said. You really have to stay on top of news, stay on top of injuries. I think by now we know which teams are still in the race, what they're playing for, and all of that. I hated Week 17 last year, but we also made a lot of money from playing it. Just a couple extra due diligence on our part really went a long way. I know we had a ton of Rashad Jennings. I don't know. Zach Ertz. Yeah, I'm excited for this week. I think we're gonna knock it out of the park. You want to just hop into this thing?
Yeah. So we're going to start with just the first game that was on my list, which is also a game that I am really, really interested in, just for the sake that I think people are getting this one wrong. First game is the Jags at the Colts. So the real interesting thing about this one is when it first opened, the Colts were 6-point favorites, and I was like, that's fucking wrong. I didn't get it. Because the Colts have been bad, for a long time this season. And this is not a good matchup for them by any means. And so, 70% of bets were coming in on the Colts, and the line has moved 1.5 points towards the Jags. I think this is a good spot for the Jags to show up. I think this is a good spot for the Colts to completely let down. You got any thoughts on that?
No, but I know where you're headed, so you can continue.
Yeah, so T.Y. Hilton will be playing against the best cornerback in the NFL over the last month and a half, maybe 2 months.
4 games or 5 games.
Okay, so the last 5 games. Jalen Ramsey has been absolutely phenomenal. I believe he's allowed 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, 8 or 9 pass breakups, allowing the lowest quarterback rating into his coverage. And the thing about Ramsey is that he will follow someone into the slot. I'm not sure if he will play every snap in the slot that Hilton is in the slot, but he will definitely be on Hilton at times in the slot. I don't think the Jags are going to let, someone like Josh Johnson get obliterated by T.Y. Hilton. I don't think it's going to happen. So this is a spot where everybody really, really loves T.Y. Hilton, and I'm not all that excited about him. What do you think about Hilton?
I'm definitely still on Hilton. Jalen Ramsey's been great, easily the top rookie cornerback this season. The past 5 weeks, yeah, he's played well, but really just amazingly well in 3 weeks, and then like mediocre in the other 2 weeks. Like his PFF coverage score, weeks 1 through 11, he rated 96th overall. That
was just wrong.
Out of 118 qualifying cornerbacks. And really, if you look at his per target numbers, he wasn't playing well at all. He's given up a few big plays, some missed tackles, not too many passes defensed. And then just week 13, 15, 16 just completely blew up his PFF grade. I still think he's been great. I think he's been very good. But T.Y. Hilton without Dante Moncrief, I'm going to load that up every single week.
I don't understand why the Jags have gotten bad passing grades when they've been.
Amukamara was pretty good for the first half, better than Ramsey. But yeah, Ramsey's definitely turned it on these past 3 of 5 weeks.
They've essentially been one of the best passing defenses in football that nobody knows about. Believe they've allowed like maybe 1 300-yard passer, and I just I don't think this is a spot where I'm in on the Colts passing game, and I think T.Y. Hilton is going to be one of the highest owned receivers this weekend. I think you're much better off playing Jordy Nelson for 500 more, or Mike Evans for 400 more, or Julio Jones for just about 800 more. So that's why I'm not as all that excited about Hilton.
So I agree with you to an extent. Like the Jaguars are allowing the 3rd fewest fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's a stat I feel like not too many people know about. But have they been fantastic against the pass? I'd also argue no. An 18-6 touchdown to interception ratio. I'm not really too intimidated. I just think what's going to happen is what has been happening, and that's really teams aren't really going to need to pass on them when the entire Jacksonville Jaguars team stinks. I'm still on T.Y. Hilton. I'm not really on Andrew Luck. I know you're all over Bortles. I like him to an extent. He's not like a top 3 favorite quarterback or 5 favorite quarterback for me like he might be for you.
Jaguars have allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers, 6th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers this season. I'm all over Bortles. I think the Jaguars win this game. I'm bummed that I missed the chance to bet the Jags while they were still 6-point dogs. And that's kind of what everyone said last week. Everybody was on DeMarco Murray. I thought DeMarco Murray was a terrible tournament play because the Jags are actually not a team you can run on either. The only reason they were getting run on early in the season was because they were giving up tons of attempts because Bortles was throwing pick sixes. Allen Robinson finally showed up last week. Colts passing defense is bad. Vontae Davis has been hobbled all season. He is still hobbled. and he will probably be covering Allen Robinson for the majority of Allen Robinson's routes. Vontae Davis currently has a 44 PFF coverage grade. I think this is another spot for Bortles and Allen Robinson to smash. And Bortles is going to just continue to be under-owned, even though he had a huge game last week. I think Allen Robinson will be popular, though. You got any thoughts?
My computer's freezing up at the moment, so I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I'm not really on Allen Robinson too much. I do like Marquise Lee a lot, though.
Allen Hurns might be back.
Oh, really? I still kind of like Lee, but really T.Y. Hilton's the one guy that pops off for me.
Yeah, I'm just not on the Colts, man. I'm just not doing it. I think that's one spot where I'm going to take a stand. So I'm not going to use them. The thing with Lee is that he's been great with Allen Hurns out. Actually, no, it looks like Allen Hurns is unlikely to play. I know he got some practice in, so he's out. So yeah, so I think you can go back to Lee and Allen Robinson. It's a concentrated offense. You know that's where the ball is going to, and I'm not scared of the Colts passing defense by any means. You want to move on to the next game?
Chris Ivory with TJ Yeldon out.
If Ivory plays, it seems like they're all hurt. I think Ivory left the game early last weekend. Ivory has been limited this week. If Ivory is the starting running back and he's good to go, then yeah, that's fine. But you have to know there's risk that he's going to leave the game because he has definitely had some injury concerns recently. And then if all of them are out, then Corey Grant is interesting as a minimum salary guy who probably sees 20 touches if Ivory's out too.
All right, next game.
Yeah. Okay, so Cowboys at the Eagles. This is a game where I'm like, you want to play Cowboys, but at the same time, now we're looking at maybe 3 quarterbacks playing. That's not something you want to have a piece of.
Wait, and what 3 quarterbacks playing?
Tony Romo is going to play too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's a huge plus for me if I'm looking at Bryce Butler, who should see – I mean, if they're going to bench their starters,
right,
he should see a huge workload. He's the number 4 wide receiver there, arguably as good as Terrence Williams. And Tony Romo's, in my opinion, probably a top 10 quarterback in the league, easy. So if he's catching passes from Tony Romo and playing like 99% of the snaps at a near minimum price salary, I think he's a great option. Even when Mark Sanchez is in the game, still like him. The Eagles have easily the worst cornerback core in the NFL. They all grade out among our 30 worst. They all rank among our 30 worst in yards per target allowed, yards per snap allowed. So I like him a lot. I like Darren McFadden if I knew he was healthy. He has an illness. If he doesn't play, Alf Morris is uber chalky, a fantastic play. And then on the Eagles side of the ball, I've heard some people talk about Jordan Matthews being a good play. He's hurt, and I actually don't see that. I much prefer Zach Ertz this week. And although we can't trust Doug Peterson because he's a ferocious liar, I'm still intrigued by Darren Sproles.
Yeah, so the Darren Sproles thing is interesting. Like, you can't play Eagles running backs in cash games. That's something you can't do because we have no idea who is going to be the back. But I think if you're playing a lot of tournament lineups, having exposure to Sproles is something you definitely want to do. And maybe, a lineup or two with Byron Marshall if we get a little more news that he is going to get extended work. Ertz is, I think, a good play, especially if Jordan Matthews is out. But this is just kind of a crappy game overall. I think Bryce Butler is definitely interesting. He should probably see a lot of time. And if McFadden and Alf are both in, it's tough to play them both. Especially with McFadden sick, he might not, see a ton of work. So that's kind of where I'm at on the Cowboys and the Eagles. You got any other thoughts?
No, I mean, we should mention that like Travis Kelce is the chalk this week, and it's really hard not to have like at least 75% exposure to him in GPPs and on every cash lineup. He's just grossly mispriced and has been playing out of his mind. But if you did want to go contrarian, Ertz is probably my favorite.
Yeah,
leads the team in targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns since week 9. Leads all tight ends and targets over the last 4 weeks. Dallas, is probably going to play their backups, and
I think Sean Lee comes out pretty quick.
Exactly, and they were already allowing like a lot of fantasy points per game to tight ends, and yeah, so
yep, I'm with you. And then the nice thing about Ertz too is that he's essentially the same price as Kelce on DraftKings, so you can sort of play a chalk lineup and then put Ertz in instead. And then we look at the next game, which is the Bears at the Vikings. This is a game that I think I like a lot more than everybody else. This is like two teams that they don't have a whole lot to play for, but at the same time, they're like still figuring things out, and they're teams that are projecting to, go through a lot of changes over this offseason. So I think they might show up. Cameron Meredith is who I really, really like. We saw what Jordy did in the slot against the Bears, especially with them being, down linebackers. And Alshon should be shadowed by Rhodes on the outside. You like anyone else on the Bears, man?
Just really like Cam Meredith for pretty much all the reasons you said, but to elaborate, he's running 84% of his routes in the slot since Jeffrey came back. Minnesota's allowing the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers out of the slot since week 9. He has 5 targets, 7 receptions, 58 more yards than Jeffrey over the last 2 weeks. He's the 4th highest scoring wide receiver in PPR over that span. Yeah, I like Cam Meredith a lot.
Yeah, and I think maybe Jordan Howard's a little interesting since the Vikings have been getting run on. But with Barkley being like terrible at quarterback, that really hurts Jordan Howard. And then Thielen, Rudolph, McKinnon with Diggs out. If Diggs doesn't play, are you in on those guys?
Thielen, Rudolph, and who?
McKinnon.
I don't want any Vikings running back. I think their offensive line is just so bad.
That's the thing with McKinnon is that he's been getting like tons of short passing work.
Yeah, but is Asiata still playing?
Asiata isn't a real human being.
That's true. But his body takes up space on the
he'll be out there. But McKinnon has seen 6+ targets, I think, in like 5 straight. So I mean, there's like some incentive a little bit, but
yeah, I'm not on McKinnon. I think there's just so much running back value this week.
He's definitely a floor play. He has like no ceiling.
Okay, so maybe cash game only. But there's just so many cheap running backs who are now. Like I rant a lot about bell cow running backs. Like it's why we wanted David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell and DFS every week. It's why we constantly target cheap, underpriced backup running backs in DFS because once a starter goes down, like the depth chart is now for running backs is now weakened by 1, which means the next man up assumes a lot of times an even bigger workload than the starter who went down. And like really volume is just the only thing we care about with running backs. So it's so important. We've seen that a bunch. We saw that with Alfred Blue in the championship week. We saw that with Jaquiz Rogers getting 30 touches and things like that. So there's a lot of guys. There's really like Johnny. I think you counted like 12 guys like that who
there's a lot.
are in play this week. It's absurd. It's kind of also why we glossed over Chris Ivory a little bit. There's just better names out there. Kyle Rudolph, I'm on, but again, it goes back to like, dude, it's Travis Kelce, and then like maybe if you have 50 lineups, 10 to 12 lineups with guys like Ertz, Ebron, and Kyle Rudolph. But yeah, I like Kyle Rudolph. I mean, like no one wants to play him in any week. He's still not crazy highly priced. He ranks third among tight ends in targets and fourth in fantasy points for the season. He leads all players in percentage of targets inside the 10, percentage of team targets inside the 10. Really the only guy they look to when they get inside the goal line. He leads all tight ends with Ertz and targets over the last 4 weeks. The Bears – the Bears are playing for the third pick in the draft, and if they win, they could fall as far as sixth. The Vikings don't have a first-round pick. They traded theirs away and a few other picks, so they arguably have more motivation. So I do like him, and I like Thielen too. I want to go back to Thielen. And Diggs I don't think is right. Thielen's just a little beast out there, and I love him. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Thielen and Meredith both make a lot of sense. Thielen's going to be pretty popular, I think. And if Diggs is like officially ruled out, then Thielen is definitely someone you can use in cash games. But it's like one of those weeks where you're trying to find like players to fit the salary cap. So, if you play Thielen and Cam Meredith and some value running backs, then you're gonna have a lot of money left over. But yeah, Rudolph's I think's okay. I don't think he has a big ceiling though, compared to guys like Ertz, Graham, Kelce in the similar price range. But Rudolph is like a safe sort of option. So then the next game, Panthers at the Bucks. So this is an interesting one because the Bucks have like the tiniest of possibilities, tiniest of chances of making the playoffs if like a million other things happen. Do you think they're going to be motivated? I kind of think they will, just on the remote chance that it happens.
Yeah, I think they will, and I also think just in the NFL, it's like not like the NBA, like tanking is something that's still super frowned upon by I think like almost all teams. Yes, you'll see like some guys just like, oh, this season's a waste, whatever. But like individually, most players are all playing for contracts, and like coaches go back and they watch the film. Coaches are playing for their jobs, their reputations, GMs too, etc. I just think it's really rare that you see someone really take their foot off the gas completely, and especially when a team's still technically in it, they're gonna play all out, and I think Tampa Bay does.
Yeah, I think they will be, but I like Evans. I like Jaquiz. I think Jaquiz is a really good play. He's going to see a ton of carries, I think. And then I think Brandon Myers is kind of a guy you can consider at tight end if you want to punt. I don't really want like any Panthers, I don't think. I feel like they're just like their season's just like so over.
Cameron Artis Payne if Jonathan Stewart's out.
Yeah, I guess that's something you could consider. I don't know.
Didn't he go off like week 17 last year too, when Stewart was out?
Dude, I have no idea.
Or 2 years ago, I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, I like Evans, but like it's so weird. He dominated for the first 12 weeks of the season. And over the last 4 weeks, he's kind of like 6 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets. And before that, he had what was it? He had double-digit targets in 3,
all but
6,
two.
9, 10 of his last 11 games. So
yeah. The thing is, though, is that Cameron Brate went to IR, so
that hurts him. Oh no.
No, I think it helps Evans. Where Brate has really been hurting Evans recently is in the red zone. They've been throwing it to Brate and not Evans for whatever reason, and I think he gets that back.
All right.
And I like the Bucs defense too. They're at home against Panthers, who are kind of falling apart. Cam is banged up. Derek Anderson's ruled out. We could possibly see whoever their third string quarterback is come into this game. So it's a spot to consider. Not super excited about this game, but you have to consider the motivation for the Bucs. Quiz Rogers, I think, is one of the better cash game plays. You agree with me there?
Yeah, no, I do agree. I like him a lot. We've seen it already this season. Charles Sims is back on IR, correct?
Yep.
So I do. I like it a lot. I want to mention Kelvin Benjamin's in a great spot against Vernon Hargreaves, who's struggled really all season. The only issue with that is so has Kelvin Benjamin. I'm probably not on it, but it is worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's a good spot for him, but like I said, I don't know. I'm just not excited about the Panthers at all. They're like one of the teams that I worry about not showing up at all. There's only a few that I worry about for that. Anybody else in this one?
No, none that I could think of.
All right. Browns, Steelers. So the Steelers are planning to just sit everyone. And a lot of people want to play Fitz Toussaint or D'Angelo Williams. I'm not sure if we're going to know enough information to be able to play either of them, at least in cash games. I would love to play Fitzgerald Toussaint if they rule out D'Angelo Williams, but I don't think it's going to happen. And D'Angelo Williams is like 200 years old. He had knee surgery. Hasn't been able to come back. He's played like one snap this season, something like that. I'm not like excited to use him at all if they're starting him. And if they're starting him, then I'm not really excited to use Toussaint because I don't know how much he's going to play. Plus, with Landry Jones at the helm, what really are they going to do? I think this is a spot where, the game could be like 10-6. You got any thoughts?
Yeah. Once we find out, assuming we do, what they're going to do with their running backs, I want heavy exposure to that running back. I don't care which one it is. D'Angelo Williams, we've seen him be a top 5 running back in this league before. He's going to be running on fresh legs. Same with Toussaint, who I think is probably
fresh, man.
I don't care how old they are; they're fresh. And Toussaint, I don't think he's a great talent, but we've seen from this Pittsburgh offense that they're going to trot out a bell cow over the past 2 seasons. Whether it's been Toussaint, D'Angelo Williams, or Le'Veon Bell, they use one running back and they use them a lot. Don't care who it is; they're both cheap. I want to get them into my lineups, assuming we do find out who it is.
I don't think we're going to know. And, dude, D'Angelo Williams is coming off of a surgery, like a knee surgery, and he hasn't been able to be active for like 6 weeks. I don't think he has fresh legs by any means. That's my concern. Like, I don't want to play a dude who hasn't even been able to be active.
Reports are saying that he's going to get a healthy workload, and he returned from the knee injury.
They've been saying
2 weeks ago.
They've been saying that he's going to be They've been saying that he was going to be involved for the last like 4 weeks, and he hasn't been able to do it.
I don't know. I'm still on it. I don't care.
I think we want to get the Steelers running back. I just don't think we're going to get it. I don't think we're going to get it. If he doesn't play, though, like if D'Angelo Williams is out, we are going to get it. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. So
we should know more by. I mean, we might not know till Sunday, but we should know more by Sunday.
I don't know if we are, man. That's the thing with this one. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to know.
All right.
But the other guys in this game, Eli Rogers, I think, is a really good play. He should be probably the most heavily targeted option for the Steelers.
Why? Why not Darius Hayward-Bay?
Because he's like a non-factor in the offense, and they said they're going to feature Rogers.
Oh, did they? But they're so my question was they're resting, all the starters. So why wouldn't they trot out guys like DHB and like?
Because you still only have like your 53 guys, your 52 guys. You know, you can't sit 20 people.
Yeah. So how many snaps is Antonio Brown going to play?
None.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to sit Ben. They're going to sit Bell. They're going to sit Brown. They're going to sit Marquise Pouncey. They'll all be inactive. And then guys who are injured.
So Coates isn't going to play because he's hurt. Why isn't Kobe Hamilton going to go off?
Because he's not even any good. It's going to be Rodgers. They have to move the ball through someone.
All right. I want to like him. I didn't hear the report that he's going to be featured, but
you can't just sit like multiple wide receivers.
I just don't think I'm going to play a guy who's being targeted by Jarvis Landry. I think that's all it comes down to. Landry Jones, I mean.
But you want to play? I don't know. I think Eli Rogers is a great play. I mean, he's the only wide receiver who has like at all any talent on the offense outside of Brown.
I thought you learned from this mistake this preseason. We want the Browns defense, and
we do want the Browns defense.
All right,
but 4K for a receiver who probably sees like 8 targets, I think is fine.
But 8 Landry Jones targets is worth like 2 actual targets.
When you're coming out of the slot, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I think Rodgers is fine. I think we're looking for guys.
No, I think he is fine.
We're looking for guys who are going to start and be on the field, and I think he's one of them. And then if Cody Kessler starts, then I kind of want Pryor. But if Robert Griffin starts, I don't want anything to do with this offense.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. Next one. Patriots Dolphins. So the Patriots are huge favorites, but all of their players are hurt. So this is a weird one. I know you were on Tom Brady early in the week. Are you still on Brady?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, we are going to disagree on everything this week, man. I don't want anything to do with Brady this week. Malcolm Mitchell's probably not going to play. Martellus Bennett is going to have limited snaps. And Edelman has been banged up a little bit too. I think Edelman's interesting. I think Hogan is a good play. I think Blount is interesting. But
Michael Floyd?
Yeah, I think you could consider Floyd, but he really hasn't played a whole lot. I think Hogan is the guy who gets the big boost.
So you like everyone on this offense but Brady?
No, I said they're all interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so Brady has the highest ceiling of any quarterback, which makes him a great play in tournaments. Sure, not going to play him in cash probably, but probably has the highest upside.
Don't think he has the highest ceiling at all.
Well, he definitely has. There's the only quarterbacks with more than 4 games of 27 fantasy points are Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. They both have 5. But Brady's played in 4 fewer games. And this season, there's only been 18 instances of a quarterback scoring 30 or more points. 4 of those games have come against the Dolphins.
There's only 2 quarterbacks with 40-point games. It's Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers.
No other defense showed up in that list more than twice. 3 of those games came over the past 5 weeks. They allowed those those monstrous games to Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, and Colin Kaepernick. Not really imposing passers by any stretch. He's in a must-win spot, fighting for the number 1 seed at for a 1 o'clock game with Oakland playing at 425. They have the second highest implied point total of the weekend. Miami is playing without their top cornerback, Byron Maxwell. Yeah, I think he's an awesome spot. I think he's a great play this week.
I'm just not interested in a banged up Patriots offense. He really hasn't done a whole lot since Gronk left. He has the 130-point game against Baltimore, which was a absolute shootout. This game is not going to shoot out. I went the Patriots defense.
When do the Patriots take their foot off the gas?
What do you mean?
They never take their foot off the gas, especially in a must-win spot. So I don't know how relevant that is. I think you're just a great thing to do is, have a bunch of Brady, have a bunch of Blunt on the teams where you don't have Brady.
I'm not going to have any Brady this weekend. He's just not someone I want at all. I think that there's plenty of reason for them to take the foot off the gas because everybody's hurt. If everybody was healthy, I think it would be different. Brady's been banged up for weeks. He's listed as questionable. He's got the leg thing. Edelman's been playing less and less snaps because he's been having some issues too. Malcolm Mitchell's not even going to play. Bennett, they said, is going to be limited in snaps. He's going to come off the field. If they're winning, they're just going to run the ball. I don't see any reason for them to throw it. Put Brady in harm's way. This is just not a game that I'm excited about their passing offense. Hogan is the one guy I'm looking at in tournaments. I think that's where I'm at. I just have, we can agree to disagree on Brady on this one. I just don't see him throwing the ball more than 30 times. I don't know. Do you like anyone on the Dolphins side?
Not particularly, no.
Yeah, I don't like anyone on the Dolphins. You want to move on to the next game?
Sure.
All right. So Ravens at the Bengals. I'll just let you talk Steve Smith, Kobe Bryant game.
Yeah. So me, hate narratives. Pretty much always have. Just never seen anyone back it up with actual statistics. And when they have revenge games, guys playing for a contract, things like that, they've shown that over a large enough sample, it's statistically really not worth mentioning. Anyone whoever in DFS chases a double dip, anyone who chases a revenge game, kind of just automatically assume they're a donkey. Just over a long enough sample, don't ever see that working out. The statistics don't support it. But I'm super all in on Steve Smith this week. I just think it makes so much sense. I don't think I'm contradicting myself here. We do have some examples of it. We have Kobe Bryant in NBA, DFS. We have Calvin Johnson in his farewell game last year. He was the overall wide receiver #1. And Ravens don't have anything to play for, and they've talked about it all week. Steve Smith looking on to Canton. They're going to try and pad his stats, and the matchup's not fantastic, but I think he's going to see enough volume. He's at a low enough price tag that that definitely makes up for it. I want him on a ton of lineups, and I think he eats.
I just want to say last year I tried to get Scott to buy into a narrative. In week 17, he called me. He called me a cunt.
I did. I was so mad offline.
But no, I think the Steve Smith narrative is definitely a thing. But I think he's going to be insanely popular. And this isn't the greatest matchup for him, but he probably sees 10 targets or so. He's 4,900. 4,900 for 10, 12 targets is probably pretty valuable, even if it's a tough matchup. So I like Steve Smith. That's kind of the only guy I'm looking at on Baltimore. For the Bengals, I like Brandon LaFell. And then if Jeremy Hill is like ruled out or we get some inside knowledge that he's not going to play much, then I really like Rex Burkhead. What do you think about the Bengals?
Yep, I agree with that. I like Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, and then I think outside of LaFell, it's hard to figure out who they're going to throw to. They've been like doing some weird wide receiver stuff, using core and trying Tyler Boyd in different formations, and I don't know. Do you like anyone outside of LaFell?
No, just LaFell.
Yeah, okay. That's where I'm at as well. Next game?
Yep.
All right, so the Texans at the Titans.
Can I talk about something?
Yeah.
Dude, one thing I was like so legit mad that why I was so mad I missed out on last week was, people were trying to make Tom Savage a thing.
It wasn't Tom Savage so much as just the targets to.
No, not you. Like people in like 2 QB leagues and 2 QB DFS. I don't want to name names, but we're talking about Tom Savage last week, and don't worry. Like, I know how bad Brock Osweiler's been. I know he's benched. He's nowhere near as bad as Tom Savage. Tom Savage was like the 3rd best quarterback at Rutgers. Garbage, just like no business being in the NFL. I went to my sophomore year at Rutgers was his freshman year, and he had a girlfriend in my friend's dorm, and I hit on her, and she was like kind of feeling it. Like, she didn't just like immediately like go fuck yourself. My boyfriend's a 5-star rated quarterback and the starting quarterback of the Rutgers football team. She was like, let me hear this guy out. Let me hear let me hear his pitch. Like, I got shut down eventually, but like, she at least heard me out. If you're a good quarterback, if you're going to be an NFL starting caliber quarterback, she shuts me down in like 2 seconds. Tom Savage is garbage. Worst quarterback in the league. I think his last start ever comes in 2 weeks, and that's it. Yeah, ran over.
Right. Fair enough. I was in on Nook just because he got all those targets, and I also want to say that I had a lineup that was in 3rd place that only paid a New York trip to 1st place, and the guy who was in 2nd place also had Nook, and he was half a point ahead of me. So I had to pivot. And my options were Alfred Blue, Tyler Boyd, or Brandon LaFell. And the only one who busted was Tyler Boyd, and that's who I picked. So I am not going to play Nook this week because I am #mad at him.
No, you don't want anyone who Tom Savage is throwing the ball to.
Yeah, but I think Alfred Blue's in play. He should see probably like 25 touches. The matchup's not great. It's tough to run on the Titans, but with Marcus Mariota hurt, there's probably not a whole lot that they have to play for. So you're looking at 20 touches for a running back at 4,300. He's in value for sure, or he's in play for sure. He's a value. And then I guess maybe Delaney Walker. He saw a good bit of targets when Castle came into the game last week. I think you can consider him, but I wouldn't be like stoked about it. Sound all right?
Sure.
All right. Next game?
Yeah.
All right. So Bills at the Jets, the double dumpster fire. Both teams are packing it up, sounds like. So you got some reverse line movement going towards the Jets. 70% of bets are coming in on the Bills. Line has moved 2.5 points towards the Jets. We're still waiting for this line to break that 3-point line to be a major movement, but it's moved. So do you think the Bills could let down here?
Yeah, they have EJ Manuel as their starting quarterback, so of course.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Oh, looks like I lost Scott. So I'll just talk about this game. The Jets have the weird thing going on with Brandon Marshall where he's like trying to fight everyone. And he's also been banged up, so may or may not play, especially with him, possibly on his way out the door. They could definitely make him inactive. If he's inactive, then we could see some more Robbie Anderson, though it sounds like Ryan Fitzpatrick is starting, so who knows who he's going to throw the ball to. And then Bilal Powell has been banged up. He might not play. And then the guy you do want to play at running back for the Jets is probably not going to be available to use. So it looks like there's really no one on the Jets that you want to play. I think LaShawn McCoy is an interesting tournament play. With EJ Manuel under center, they'll probably hand it off a ton, and he's been really good. Scott, do you have any thoughts on Jets? I'm kind of out on the Jets, though I wish there was somebody I could play. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah, I'm probably on nobody. You might be able to craft a narrative for Brandon Marshall.
I was just saying, I bet he's inactive this weekend.
I'm hearing he plays, and I'm hearing that my boy Robbie Anderson does not. But no, I don't want anyone. This is you called it. It's a dumpster fire game. 2 dumpster fire teams. Don't want anyone. You think McCoy's gonna go all out in this game? Do you think they're gonna rest him?
I think he plays, and I kind of like him. I think he's an interesting play. I think this is like a okay spot for him, where they're probably going to run the ball a lot. But I'm not like super excited about him. I wouldn't play him in cash games. I think he's a tournament only play.
So the Bills we're talking about. Do you want to give EJ Manuel a serious look, looking on to 2017? If that's the case, this is the dumbest franchise in the NFL. Bar none, and they deserve to have years of miserable losing seasons.
Well, they want to see how well he can hand it off to LaShawn McCoy.
Okay, hopefully, yeah. But if they were actually telling the truth, then that kind of makes Sammy Watkins somewhat interesting. I think he might be able to overcome EJ Manuel, but I'm still probably not on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a guy you definitely want to have like. A share or two. I think he could erupt if the Jets show up like they have before and they just hand it off the whole game. But it's a weird spot. I'm not excited about anyone in this game. Giants at the Redskins. Do you want to talk Kirk Cousins, or do you want me to talk Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it. So this is like one of the biggest questions to me this week is whether or not the Giants rest their starters. And according to Rashad Jennings in an interview, the Giants are going to go all out this week, treat it like it's a regular season game with stuff on the line. I think that's dumb. I would not do that, especially with some of the injuries they do have. Janoris Jenkins is kind of banged up. Damon Harrison's kind of banged up. I'd bench those guys. I'd also bench DRC, Landon Collins, Olivia Vernon, OBJ, of course, Eli Manning after he gets his one first snap so he can keep that record of most consecutive starts going. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I hope they don't. And if they don't, as Vegas suspects they don't, they're projected to win by 7.5. Last time I checked, they're playing at home, the Redskins, that is. Then Kirk Cousins is an amazing starter. He already, the Giants have just shut down opposing quarterbacks this season. Actually, the quarterback with the most points in any game against the Redskins this year was Kirk Cousins in Week 3. If they do bench, like Kirk Cousins, arguably has like my highest projection of any quarterback this week, even if the Giants don't really keep things close on offense. or at least he's a better play when compared to like Rodgers or Ryan or Breeze, who are going to be super highly owned. It really comes down to what the Giants are going to do with their starters. But yeah, I'm certainly on Kirk Cousins if that's the case.
Yeah, and I don't think that the starters are going to play the full game. I don't think Rashad Jennings is even all that smart. He doesn't know what's going on. Vegas thinks they're going to rest guys. They have the Giants as 7-point dogs. If Vegas expected the Giants to legitimately show up, they would not be 7.5-point dogs. 64% of bets are coming in on Giants, and that line is not moving. It is still Redskins by 7.5. So I don't think the Giants are going to play everybody for 4 quarters, especially like the secondary guys. Like as soon as DRC or Landon Collins like limps or looks like they might be like tired, they're coming out. I mean, right? They can't risk losing Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, who's always hurt, or Landon Collins, who's the best player on their team. I mean, do you think they're actually going to put these guys out there for 4 quarters?
I mean, I don't think so. But poor coaching decisions by someone on the Giants staff. That's something I've lived with for the past 5 years or so. It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be able to watch the game. I'd have to turn it off just for fear. But I don't think so. I really hope not. I think we should know by Sunday, for sure.
I hope so. But I don't know if we will. Who knows? Yeah. If I think if we don't know and everyone thinks the Giants are going to play their dudes, then I still kind of like Kirk and Deshaun for tournaments, especially if they're going to go lower owned. So I don't know. It's a tough one to figure out.
Yeah. So Jordan Reed is apparently amazing. He's looks like a agile ballerina or something. I don't know what Gruden said. He's weird. He's a weird dude. So he might be healthy. He still feels kind of risky to me. A stack with Garcon and Jackson, Jackson, Crowder, Garcon, Crowder, whatever. It's going to be super cheap. Kirk Cousins is super cheap. The 3 main receivers, super cheap. If you want to slide Reed in there, super cheap. There's really a lot of ways you can go. And like I said, I really like Cousins this week, and I'd be willing to, have a ton of exposure, make a bunch of lineups, alternating the receivers out. But I do think it's going to be somewhat difficult to predict which wide receiver is going to go off.
Yeah. No, I think so. But I still like Deshaun the most for tournaments, I think.
I honestly don't know. But I do like Cousins, and I know that. And I think 2 of these guys are going to go off.
Yeah, and Matt was just saying in chat, Cousins is 374 yards from 5,000. So if they're smashing the Giants, gotta think they go for that.
Get your narratives out of my podcast. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call Steve Smith and ask him if they're going to force feed him the ball.
I think that's the exception because
it's yours.
Because he's an old slot receiver. Which is our brand, so it just negates or something. I don't know. Because
it's the narrative that you want to exist, right?
Well, yeah.
Right.
But is old wide receiver in the slot not our brand?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want Rob Kelly? I don't want to play Rob Kelly at all. I just I don't. Do I need to do it again? He just doesn't. He doesn't catch passes, so. Not playing a dude who doesn't catch passes, though he has caught some passes, which pisses me off. But he looks terrible doing it.
I'm I mean, Giants have been amazing against the run, but it looks like they might rest their starters. If they rest their starters, the Redskins are going to go up by a ton, and then they should run the ball. I don't know. Could be. I mean, that could definitely be our undoing this week if we have a heavy exposure to Cousins, but it's too late. I'm already all in on the Kirk Cousins train.
Kelly's been like limited all week. He doesn't catch the ball. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he doesn't meet value. Nah. Just no. And he's like popular. People want to play Kelly. But so even if the Giants rest their edge rushers, which are like their important guys, you know, snacks like up the middle is why you can't run on them.
But he got hurt really bad either a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't think he plays this game.
Yeah, I don't know. You still have like the Giants were strong against the run the end of last year too.
I mean, Olivier Vernon's like probably the best defensive end against the run this year.
Right. No,
Yeah,
I know,
him
but I'm
too,
saying
yeah.
before they added him and Snacks last year, they were strong at the end of the season against the run. So I still am not into, using a running back against the Giants. So I don't know. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think that's it. I tried to come up with a narrative for Roger Lewis or someone like that, but or Paul Perkins, but I think there's just too much uncertainty there, especially right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. So then let's look at the Cardinals at the Rams. For me, it's like Cardinals defense, David Johnson, log out.
Here's what's annoying. Yeah, no. David Johnson, log out. Okay. Here's what's annoying is Arizona's defense is just like has been so bad the past few weeks. It just looks like they've just completely given up. They've given up like what? Like 15 passing touchdowns and 1,000 yards to opposing passers the past 3 weeks. It looks like an amazing game for Jared Goff. If Jared Goff wasn't probably the worst or second worst or third worst quarterback in the league, and without Kenny Britt, the GOAT. So I don't know.
But who's worse, the Cardinals defense or Jared Goff? I'm going to go with Jared Goff.
No, for sure. I mean, still not super in love with Arizona's defense. I can't do it. Yeah, no, Arizona's defense is fine. Goff is going to throw like 5 picks.
Dude, he's so bad. He's so bad.
He's just going to lock on a Tavon Austin and just throw pick after pick after pick.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah. So yeah, I'm good with that. And then I'm just not on anyone on the Rams. I don't think.
No. Yeah. There's no one there. David Johnson, log out.
Yep. Okay. So the Chiefs of the Chargers. My notes I just wrote Chiefs D, Travis Kelce, log out, and then I wrote Chargers suck. You got anything else?
What's up with Tyrell Williams?
He's hurt, dude. Dude is like barely like lift his arm.
Oh, okay.
He can still lift his arms higher than Rob Kelly though.
Is it a new injury? Is it the same one from a few weeks back?
It's the same thing. So he's still got the shoulder thing.
I mean, he's still putting up numbers despite it. Travis Benjamin stinks.
He has 18 targets over the last 2 weeks and only 8 catches. That's not very good.
How many touchdowns and fantasy points and all that garbage?
1 touchdown.
All right. Well,
he's been bad since he's been hurt.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was amazing, and then there was a steady decline. But when was he hurt? Week 13? He still had 964 and a touchdown last week. He had 9 targets the week before that.
And he caught 4 of them for 20 yards. Dude, he's been bad.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, but
he got hurt during the Houston game, so week 12.
Yeah. 18 targets the last 2 weeks. He is Rivers' top guy. If you're gonna play someone, it's gonna be him. Don't know if he's still as bad as hurt as he's been, then definitely not someone to have a lot of exposure to.
Yeah, I don't want any Chargers, dude. Like, they have no running back. Like, Ronnie Hillman is probably going to be their starting running back. And people are going to play Ronnie Hillman, man. Nah. Like, no Ronnie Hillman for me.
I think he's kind of in play. It just goes back to depth. Like, Andre Williams is the only other running back on the roster. He's not going to get any usage whatsoever. It's just going to be Ronnie Hillman, and that's it. He's going to get targets. He's going to get carries. He's bad at football. He's really bad at football. I don't care. I think he's in play this week.
He caught 0 of his targets last week.
Yeah, man. I'm not saying he's good. I'll chase that volume, though.
And he averaged 0.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, dude, he's bad. I know.
Against Cleveland.
Yep, he's bad. I know. Don't care. Volume.
I'm not playing that, man. I don't think he will. I think somebody else is going to end up seeing carries. I think Rivers is just going to.
Andre Williams?
I think Rivers is just going to throw picks all day, man. Chiefs D. If he's forcing the ball to Antonio Gates, Eric Berry is going to have 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I don't think he does, though.
Dude, I like the Chiefs in the spot. Like, I think the Chiefs smash them.
Dude, Ronnie Hillman had 9 carries last week.
Yeah, for 6 yards
and 2 targets. Yeah, but I mean, like, you're acting like he was 20 carries for 35. He barely saw the ball.
Yeah, but Farrow had 9 for 28 against the same defense. I can't like if I'm gonna fade one of the cheap running backs, it's going to be Ronnie Hillman.
There's so many cheap running backs this week. If there is a reason to fade, sure. I still think that volume's fine, and I'm not going to knock you if you want to play him.
I will. I'm going to tell people that he sucks. And when he scores 20 points, I'm going to tell him that it was a fluke. Travis Kelce.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like I see a lot of people saying, you know, why do you want to play this tight end who's going to be the highest owned tight end? And I think week 17 is one of those weeks where there are very few things that we can have like legitimate confidence in. And I think one of the things that I have confidence in is that Kelce is mispriced. He's 5,000 for essentially like a wide receiver 1. You know, he's like I would play Travis Kelce over like Doug Baldwin or like Julian Edelman, and he's priced less than them. So I'm just gonna play him. You know, I'm not gonna try and get super cute with Kelce. If you don't, he's one of those guys that like he is the entire offense. They can't run the ball. Like they realized a few weeks ago that their running game is like legit broken, and they're just funneling it to Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So I'm playing Kelce. You agree with me?
Yeah, I said about as much 40 minutes ago. He's mispriced. Yeah, he's playing. I don't. If he was a wide receiver, I don't know that I'd take him over Doug Baldwin, but yeah, I think he's.
I'm saying for $5K.
Sure, yeah, exactly. He's probably the best value play of the week, and I want him on a ton of lineups. I think the only reason to fade him is just if you're someone who worries about ownership. But play him, log out, move on.
Yeah, and even I mean, if you play cash games and you don't have Kelce in them, you shouldn't play cash games.
Yeah.
I mean, someone just said that Kelce has 1 touchdown. Yeah, he also has 100 yards for like 7 games straight. So
he's just playing out of his mind. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it seems like the talk of the town is fading Kelsey. So I'm just gonna not do it. I'm gonna differentiate elsewhere. It's a great play. The Chargers get smashed in the middle of the field. They're really good against wide receivers. Like, people are gonna play Macklin against Casey Hayward. Like, that's dumb. So moving on. You like anyone else in this one on the Chiefs? I think Tyreek maybe is a little interesting.
So he's interesting every week, just because his efficiency numbers are absurd. He just keeps scoring points despite volume. But I'm just gonna keep betting against that. He has 0 catches over the past 2 weeks. I'm not on him.
He's just like, he's one of those guys, like the Chargers get hit by those gadgety guys because they're so strong on the outside. So Macklin's going to get shut down. Someone's going to have to do some things. I think it's Kelsey, but I think Tyreek could come in and make some plays. But yeah, I think this is a week where I prefer Kelsey for sure. Seahawks of the 49ers.
Yeah.
So this is another team that is motivated. So the Seahawks have to win against the 49ers, which I think they will. But it means that Russell Wilson's in play. It means that Thomas Rawls is in play. It means that Doug Baldwin's in play. And it means that Jimmy Graham is in play. And it means the Seahawks defense is in play. Who are you on the Seahawks side?
Yeah, I'm on Baldwin. I'm on Jimmy Graham. But I think Lockett being out helps Jimmy Graham. Doug Baldwin's in a great spot. We saw it the last time he played the 49ers. 49ers are allowing the second most fantasy points per game to wide receivers out of the slot for the season. And I love Thomas Rawls. This is a historically bad opposing run defense. They're allowing the most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs since 2008. That's so. I mean, that's so bad. If we take the RB1 of every week against San Francisco is allowing 24 fantasy points per game to opposing RB1s. That's about 2.5 fantasy points per game more than Ezekiel Elliott this season. I agree Thomas Rawls is hurt. I agree he hasn't been playing well. I don't care. I think this is it's just a dream matchup. He's cheap. You're going to want some exposure to him.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just, I agree with you that I just want, I want Seahawks exposure.
Yeah.
Really what I want.
And Russ is in play too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think Russ is a great play. I think you could use him in cash if you want to. The one area where the Seahawks struggle is the offensive line, and the 49ers are like middle of the pack in pass rush. So they're not a team that you should really be concerned about getting pressure on Russ. So it's a spot where you can definitely use him like Rawls too. And if you want to use Russ and Rawls, then you can just kind of capture the offense, I think. Do you like Sean Drawn on the other side?
Yeah. We're not worried about who is it, Mike Davis?
No, he sucks, dude.
But didn't he eat into Drawn's workload last time Hyde went down?
He did earlier in the year, and then he fumbled like 16 times, and then he's been inactive for like 10 weeks.
All right, yeah, good. No, I mean, we saw Sean Drawn eat last year when Hyde went down. He was like a top 5 fantasy running back. He was playing 100% of the snaps, literally 100% of the snaps. So yeah, I like Drawn.
Yeah, he saw 10 attempts, 7 targets last week. and that was with Hyde leaving the game early. So yeah, he's someone to consider. He's 3,200. He's super cheap. Someone just asked about Dewan Harris. Dewan Harris had a big game earlier in the season because Drawn and Hyde were hurt. So in week 9, when he had the big game against New Orleans, Drawn was out as well as Hyde. So if Drawn's there, I don't think Harris is really a concern. Anybody else in this one? This game is pretty gross.
Nah.
Raiders at the Broncos. I don't want anyone from either team. Maybe the Broncos defense. You want anybody else?
Yeah, Latavius.
Even with the 3-way committee happening?
I don't know. You keep exposing me that I've been too busy with shit and didn't watch games last week. But
yeah, so the last 2 weeks they've went back to the 3-way committee. DeAndre Washington's been active. They've been using all 3 of the backs again. DeAndre Washington had a huge game last week, like 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, something like that, something crazy.
That's just in time for MFL 10s ending.
Yeah, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns.
How many carries though?
12.
Oh wow!
I think Latavius had like 14. Jalen Richard had like 10.
Wow, that's so bizarre that they went back to that.
6 carries. Yeah, so I know TJ likes Latavius a lot. I've seen some other people like Latavius. I don't want to pay $5,200 for the running back who was the second best running back on his team last week.
Hold on one second.
All right, I guess Scott's going to look things up.
Yeah, Johnny. No, I was just going to say that the spot was good. Denver's been yielding a lot of production to running backs. We saw Latavius get a 3-touchdown game. And with McGloin in at quarterback, it made sense they would go run heavy. Didn't notice that. Obviously, a lot of shit going on in my life and, missed all the games the past 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. That's my excuse. So, guys, if there's a take where me and Johnny disagree on this week, feel free to yield to Johnny. He's been more on point with watching the games and everything than I have the past few weeks. But, yeah, that's crazy. That definitely pushes me off Latavius. Glad I didn't write him up this week. And plus, there's a lot of running back value this week anyway. So I agree. I'm not really on anyone there. You're not on any of the Denver pass catchers?
No. It sounds like they're going to start Paxton Lynch. He's so bad. So, yeah, if they start Paxton Lynch, I think you can consider the Raiders defense. Because he's like legit awful. But this game just like really, really seems like it's going to be just like a total turd. I think they might have the lowest total, if not, lowest total on the week. I don't really like anybody in this one. Broncos, have nothing to play for except for trying out Paxton Lynch. So maybe you can consider the wide receivers. But yeah, I mean the Broncos do have to win this game. But I don't think they're going to have to do a whole lot to win it. I mean the line has moved quickly towards the Raiders. Yeah, I mean are you now that I shit on your Latavius parade, are you
what parade?
You were excited there for a second.
Was I parading him?
When I tout someone, I'm parading them usually. I paraded Blake Bortles last week. Fucking A.
Yeah, that was a good week to play him though, not week 17. No.
I'm just saying. I'm saying now that the Raiders did the 3-way thing, are you really interested in anyone at all in this game?
No, I guess not. That committee kind of pushes Latavius out of contention. I don't want any of the pass catchers with McGloin. I don't want any of the pass catchers if it's Paxton Lynch. I don't want Denver's running situation. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, actually, Denver's defense maybe.
Yeah. I think both defenses are in consideration. If Paxton Lynch starts, then you can play Raiders D. And because Matt McGloin's like, he's not terrible, but he's not like any good by any means. So, yeah. And Matt in chat was just asking if Jalen Richard is out, then I guess you can consider Latavius and D-Wash, since there will only be 2 running backs. But at the same time, with the value, I'm looking for this week. I'm looking for running backs who are going to get like full complements of snaps, I think. So I struggle to play, guys in a committee when I can play. If Jeremy Hill's out, I can play Rex Burkhead and get all the snaps, that kind of thing. But
all right, next game.
Yeah. Packers. No. Saints at the Falcons. This is a game where like everyone wants to play Rodgers, but I want to play Matt Ryan this week. Like, I think this game is going to shoot out. Like, Vegas says this game is going to like explode compared to all the other games. I think they're 7 points over any other game total, including the Packers game. So, dude, I want Matt Ryan. And like, the thing about Matt Ryan is you look at his recent games and they haven't shot out. Like, the dude has like 33, 23, 28, 34, 34, 33, 34, 35 attempts. And then you hit this game in Seattle when he threw 42 times, 335 yards, 27 DraftKings points. You look at Carolina, 37 times. He had 500 yards. Like, if the dude has like 40 passing attempts or more in what could be a shootout, he's going to smash. And they have to win this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like him. Everyone likes him this week.
They don't, though. Everyone wants Rodgers, man.
I mean, who's going to be the second highest owned quarterback?
Cousins.
No, it's going to be Matt Ryan. I like Ryan. I like Breeze. They're both definitely in play. Matt Ryan's been the MVP. He's still playing for the MVP. Makes sense.
Yeah, but I think he's going to blow up. I don't know. I think Matt Ryan was a letdown last week for people. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to come in a little underowned. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think this will be a popular game, though. I think people will have a lot of players from this game. But I think Ryan might go a little underowned. Are you in on Julio? Like, I think Julio might be healthy and okay. Are you in on Julio?
What makes you think he's healthy and okay?
They said no snap count.
Okay. Hasn't New Orleans oddly been very efficient against or been good at stopping opposing wide receiver ones this season?
So they've been good against wide receiver ones, but they've also given up lots of long touchdown passes. 5 20-plus yard touchdowns over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Some big touchdowns.
So Taylor Gabriel week?
He's out.
Really?
Yep. They have to win, man. Like, the Falcons have to win this game. Right?
What's Sanu up to? Is he still hurt?
No, he's back. He was banged up though. Like, he left the game in week 15 for a little bit, but I think he played the whole game last week.
Yeah, sure. Julio's definitely in play.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at. I like Julio this week, and I think people are not gonna use him. Here's the question though: Julio or Mike Evans?
I'd go Julio.
Yeah, sounds. I think that's where a lot of people are. I think Mike Evans might go like really under the radar. But no, I mean, I would prefer Julio if I had to pick just one. Obviously, I prefer Jordy over both of them. You agree?
Yeah, Jordy's probably my number one.
Yeah. And then do you like Breeze? Are you in on any of his receivers? And are you in on Mark Ingram?
I'm in on Breeze. I am in on his wide receivers. Not sure exactly which ones just yet. And I do like Ingram. Finally saw, the kind of workload and snap count that we've wanted for him.
Yeah. So I like Ingram, and there's really not a whole lot of people talking about Ingram this week. The Falcons give up a lot of running back production. They give up, passing production too. We've seen Ingram have some big target games. He has some games with like 6, 7. He had 6 targets against Atlanta last time, caught a pass against them for a touchdown. Had 22.7 DraftKings points against Atlanta last time they played. And yeah, he has back-to-back weeks of 17 plus carries and back-to-back weeks with 3 plus targets. So I like Ingram. I think he is a very interesting pivot off of Jacquizz Rodgers, who's just a couple hundred cheaper. And this is one of those weeks where, a guy who's $600-700 cheaper than someone is probably still a pivot because you're going to have some extra cash. Do you like, if you had to pick a Saints pass catcher, who would you pick?
I honestly don't know.
I know, man. It's so hard this week. I know Michael Thomas is someone who's getting a lot of talk. But he's kind of slowed down the last few weeks
because of the injury.
I don't know. He's just slowed down. He was blowing up, and then it just kind of fizzled out. Targets have fizzled a little bit. 6, 5, 10, 5, 10, 8. And then you look at Cooks can obviously house anything, and he's been getting more targets the last few weeks. Outside the Los Angeles game, that was really weird, where he had 0. He has 8, 9, 10, 8, 9 targets over the last 6 weeks. So, good luck figuring out which one of those to play. I think you want exposure to Saints wide receivers, though, in tournaments. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just figuring out which one. I don't know. You gonna play Kobe Fleener?
No.
All right, Packers Lions.
Yeah.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback play this week? That's the consensus.
I think it's either him or Kirk Cousins at price. I think Rodgers is probably going to score the most points. I do agree Matt Ryan is right in there. But yeah, I think he does. And I think Jordy's the top wide receiver play.
Yeah, I like Jordy a ton. And here's the thing though with Rodgers is no one was on him last week. And then he scored 40 points. And now he's the chalk. It's like that is, and he's the most expensive quarterback on DraftKings. He's 7,700. And he's been great. But at the same time, like, you can run on Detroit. Matthew Stafford is hurt. His fingers aren't working. there's the possibility that this game doesn't quite shoot out like everyone thinks it is. Like everyone's like betting. You got 70% of people betting on the Packers. The line has moved towards the Lions a little bit. Like this is just like a slow team in Detroit, especially at home. So, you know, do you think Rodgers, like in tournaments, should you be overexposed to the field or should you be underexposed to the field? I think Rodgers is a guy that I think I'm okay going elsewhere for different quarterbacks in tournaments.
So I think, Rodgers is putting up one of the 20 best fantasy seasons ever by a quarterback. He's up against a Detroit Lions defense that ranks bottom 3 in opposing passer rating. They're both playing for the playoffs. It's do or die for both of them. Winner advances, loser goes home. So I don't really know that either team takes their foot off the gas. Zach Zenner did all right against Dallas last week, but I don't see Detroit going run heavy. That hasn't worked for the Packers all year. They've been one of the most pass-heavy teams, and they've had to be, and it's been successful for them. I see them going the same. I think it's just a great spot, and I think, people were off of Rodgers last week, but I don't think they should have been. I like Rodgers. He's probably the top QB play. We're gonna have to decide today, tomorrow, the next day, who we want our quarterbacks to be in GPPs, and typically we only go with 2 of them. I know you're gonna fight hard for Bortles. We both probably agree on Cousins. Do I want Rodgers to be one of those quarterbacks?
Bortles is such a good play.
Rodgers plus Jordy, it's just so easy. Jordy leads the league in red zone targets inside the 10.
It's going to be by far the most owned combination.
End zone targets for sure.
In all of fantasy land.
Yeah. That's the downside.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like people are 100% chasing that. He's going to be super highly owned. I like Jordy. I mean, you can't dislike Jordy. I've liked Jordy for weeks, and he just never seems to catch up. But now, finally, everybody is on Jordy. So it's definitely a week where you could make a Rodgers, Devontae Adams lineup and, maybe win $1 million or something. But, here's the thing. It's just like it's tough for an 8K quarterback to hit value. It's just tough. But he's done it for half of his games. He could definitely do it again. But we look at Detroit as a team who has been slow as shit the last however many weeks. They haven't been giving up big quarterback games, not because they play good defense by any means. Like they don't play good defense at all. But they've been playing so slow that they have sort of stifled quarterbacks. I mean, you look at the games, there's Dak Prescott was the first quarterback to go over 20 fantasy points in like 8 weeks or something. I don't know. Does that concern you at all?
Not particularly. I mean, outside of Breeze and I guess Dak Prescott, they haven't played a good quarterback since week 3.
Case Keenum, dude. But no, yeah. I mean, Rodgers like smashed them, but at the same time, he only had 200 yards. He did have 4 touchdowns, but they're definitely a weird team because of the way they've been playing, where they throw the short outs, try to limit possessions with the short passing game. So there is an argument to be made for focusing on the Saints-Falcons game instead of the Packers-Lions game. or looking at the Seahawks passing offense, or looking at the Skins passing offense, or Colts Jaguars. I mean, there's arguments to be made that you could look elsewhere, but Rodgers is a great play. He's just going to be insanely highly owned. Does that sound about right?
Yep. On the other side of the ball, who do you like?
Dude, it's tough. I mean, I think Stafford's like legit hurt.
I think you're right.
He's looked bad. But he's super cheap. He is $6K. But since the finger injury, man, he's been like really, really bad. Outside of like, yeah, he had the big game against New Orleans, but you also have to remember that Tate had like that completely broken 80-yard touchdown. And without that, Stafford doesn't have that game. You know what I mean? So it's like, did he really have a good game against New Orleans, or did Golden Tate have a good game against New Orleans? So if I'm looking at someone on the Lions, it's Tate. Like I think that's it. If Theo's out, I'm looking at Zach Zenner. And if Theo's out, I'm looking at Eric Ebron as well.
Yeah, I like Tate. I think he's in a good spot. I mean, we saw what Adam Thielen did last week. Marvin Jones is not good. No one else really concerns me too much. Even if a lot of these guys get healthy, I still think Tate's in a great spot. Yeah.
Tate is good, and he's a little expensive on DK, so people might kind of miss him. But you know, it's tough. It's tough to play Lions, man. But you know, I do like a little bit of the Lions side, and we really want to hope for Theo to be out, because that's where everybody gets their big boosts. You got any interest in the Packers defense?
No.
Oh, someone says Theo's already out. Let me look this up. I must have missed that.
Yeah, but Zenner's then just another one of the many.
So yeah, Theo's out.
Great backup running backs now starting. Should see a high workload. I think there's better names out there, but he's definitely someone you can consider.
I like Zenner a ton.
Really? Go on.
A ton. He smashed last week.
Yeah, but that wasn't his first time starting. I wanted to go all in last time.
But the last time he started, he still hit value. And
because he was 3K.
They didn't use him in the goal line that game. It was really weird.
No, Dwayne Washington was out too.
Yeah, but this week Dwayne Washington was there, and they like didn't use him. They just used Zenner instead.
Yeah, but Washington being active isn't a bonus for Zenner.
Yeah, except Washington sucked last week. They gave him 3 goal line carries. He got smashed all 3 times, and then Zenner scored 2 touchdowns on his own. Mm-hmm. Dude, I like Zenner. I don't think Dwayne Washington is like fully healthy, or if he was fully healthy last week, then he's just not good. Zenner's been great this year, and he's 3,200.
He's been great.
Yes, he has been.
He's averaging 3.9 yards per carry.
He has had some huge runs he's been great the last 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, something like that.
All right, go on.
I think
dude, I love Zenner. He's a white running back. Put up monster numbers in college. He's the man. But
last week he exploded last week, and people still aren't going to play him. But listen.
Yeah. I just don't think the numbers back that up.
Yeah. I did make one of my friends play him in the 2-game slate, and that was pretty awesome because nobody had him. But Zenner's been. I guess I shouldn't say he's been great. He's been pretty good the last few weeks. He's been much better than Dwayne Washington, and Green Bay has been sort of getting smashed on the ground recently. Dwayne Washington only had 7 carries last week. He was active. Zenner was active. Zenner carried the load. Dwayne Washington was bad. Got stuffed at the goal line a ton. Dwayne Washington's also been bad in the passing game all season. And Zenner showed, the passing game chops. So I think he's going to get the passing game work either way, which is valuable in the Lions offense.
I mean, he had 3 targets last week.
But he was on the field for the passing downs.
10 targets the last 3 weeks, 12 carries last week. I mean, there's just a lot of names like this that are out there. Again, like Dallas running back, Pittsburgh running back.
That's the reason I like Zenner, though, is I think he goes completely missed. I think people overlook him.
I think it's somewhat what deserved. Like D'Angelo Williams, Darren McFadden, Darren Sproles, Jaquiz Rogers, Alfred Blue, Cameron Artis-Payne, Rex Burkhead, Sean John.
You first named all the guys that were expensive.
I mean, define expensive. How much is Darren McFadden?
McFadden's like over $4K.
D'Angelo Williams is $5K. Fitzgerald Toussaint's like what minimum price?
Toussaint? No, he's $4,300 as well.
How much is Zenner?
$3,200. Sean John as well.
How much is Jaquiz?
$4,900.
And Cameron Artis-Payne?
Why do you want Cameron Artis-Payne?
Dude, he's put up numbers before when J Stu was out.
Once in his life. He's $3,800. I'm not.
All right.
Dude,
how much is Ronnie Hillman, your boy?
Zenner and Drawn are going to go. They're going to go missed. People are going to miss them because they're all the way at the bottom. Ronnie Hillman's $3,700. I'm playing Zenner over Ronnie Hillman like in a fucking second.
I mean, sure, Zenner's better than Hillman.
Right. So I'm saying people are not going to play Zenner and Drawn because they're at the bottom of the list.
They're not going to play them because it's not a week where you need to really pay down.
Right. But they also have a chance to score just as much on these other guys.
Not as much as Dallas running back, Pittsburgh running back, Jaquiz, I think. And Sproles.
This is week 17, dude.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna have exposure to all these guys.
That's what I'm saying. You need.
But I'm not in love with Zenner.
I'm not in love with Zenner. I like him though. Does that make sense? People are gonna fade him. He's gonna be like 1% owned.
I think people are gonna overpay after his 2-touchdown game against the best run defense last year.
How do you overpay for a 3,200 running back?
In terms of ownership.
I don't know, man. He's pretty far down the Fantasy Labs list. He's going to be under 5% for sure. Burkhead's going to be the guy. Burkhead is going to be.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the talk, man. Everyone's talking about Burkhead. It's what's his name? What's the dude, the Cincy dude's name who came up with the uncommon splits?
Joe Goodberry.
He's been pimping Burkhead. I played Burkhead last week. So
yeah, I mean he's gonna get more targets than Zenner.
Probably. But I think he probably has less opportunity for touchdowns.
I don't know. With Dwayne Washington still there, I'm not buying into last week's goal line work after we've seen so many weeks of it not being the case. I think there's just too much risk and uncertainty there.
I want you to bring up last week's game and watch Dwayne Washington just get smashed.
Dude, he's bad. I'm not telling you he's not bad, but we've seen 15 weeks of him still racking up goal line carries despite that.
But they gave Zenner the first set of goal line series, and they gave Dwayne Washington a try. He got smashed, and they went back to Zenner for the rest of the game. Dude,
how many goal line carries did he have?
Zenner or Dwayne Washington?
Zenner. You make it seem like he had 6, and he's going to get 6 again this week.
No, I don't think he had 6 because he scored on his.
Ugh, why are we wasting so much time talking about Zach Zenner?
Because he's the preseason GOAT, dude, and this is week preseason 17. I don't know. No, I think Zenner's in play. I think Burkhead is going to be the chalky guy in that range. It's going to be Burkhead. I think Burkhead might be like, dude, like 20% owned.
No way.
Yeah. Silva's on him. Goodberry's been tweeting that he's going to be featured and all this other shit. I think he might be the second highest owned running back behind David Johnson. It's going to blow your mind.
That's obscene. Yeah. I did not see that coming. We'll see.
He's really popular. Everyone's talking about how you can't run on Baltimore. You have to throw on them. The thing is, though, is like you can run on Baltimore. They've sucked for 3 weeks. So if Hill is active, I think you can 100% fade Burkhead in tournaments for sure.
All right. Can we stop talking about Zach Sumner?
Yeah. Anyone else you want to talk about? That was all the games.
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, I guess we will try and put out some thoughts on Sunday. You'll be hungover on Sunday, but I'll try and put out some thoughts.
Nah, I'm gonna be good on Sunday.
Dude, it's New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve is my mom's birthday. I've literally never had fun on New Year's Eve ever.
Oh, I'll be hungover, but I'll still get up and say some things. Any other last minute thoughts?
Just that it's gonna suck. Debating who we're gonna play this week.
And as for week 17 kickers,
no,
Falcons kicker. That's it.
I will tell you who it is. It is Seattle kicker, Hauschka.
There you go. Jaguars kicker.
Jaguars.
Reverse line movement.
When are you going to learn how to pronounce Jaguars?
When are you going to be on Blake Bortles?
Got him. Owned.
All right, cool. So good luck, everybody. Scott, you got any last minute thoughts? If not, I'm out.
Nah.
All right. Peace, guys.